Well, thank you so much for stopping by and clicking on an episode of SideFlick. Let's talk about some movie news. Some of the things we'll be discussing here today, guys, is we got our first reactions to Daredevil Born Again, along with The Punisher getting a solo project. We got the Wayans brothers confirming White Chicks 2, Do We Want It? And the Russo brothers finally dropping just the teeniest bit of details on Avengers Doomsday. Oh, we'll be diving into that along with so much more, so you know the drill. Hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already. Timestamps in the description. Let's jump into the first thing. And we'll kicking things off, I had some of you really wanting me to give updates on DC and their video game side of things. I did my whole video breakdown yesterday of all the updates we got in the DCU about projects coming in, which have been put on pause. Really a ton of information that dropped that was there, but some of you wanted the video game updates, and today we got a bombshell. It got revealed just moments ago for me that the Wonder Woman game that got announced 4 years ago and has gone through some creative reboots and has already cost the company $100 million has now been canceled entirely. Not just that, but Warner Brothers is actually shutting down a couple of the video game studios with Monolith Productions, Player First Games, and WB San Diego. This is honestly a little devastating because although we didn't get much of what this Wonder Woman game was going to be, I was just kind of excited of a main player Justice League member getting their own solo video game that isn't Batman. Trust me, I love the Bats and I will play almost every game that comes out with him. And heck, in the past weeks, there have been rumors that there is a new Rocksteady Batman game in the works, possibly a Batman Beyond one, and yeah, that's got me bouncing up and down from excitement. But I was also very curious about this Wonder Woman game, and now, poof, disappear. This news is equally frustrating to me because even on the video game side of things, I don't think there really was much of an update from James Gunn on what they're doing there. Yeah, he mentioned that he's working with Fortnite to get some skins from the DCU in there, which will be awesome the day I'll be able to purchase the David Cornsweat Superman suit. Gonna spend my V-Bucks on that. Mom, hand me the credit card. But aside from that, he just mentioned that he's been having conversations with Rocksteady and NetherRealms about creating some more DC games. And then the day after getting that news, they've shut down one of the DC games in the works. So we'll see what happens. Fortnite skins are cool, but it's like there's so many other great characters in the DC universe I think are deserving of a game. And with how long these games take to make, who knows when we'll be getting this. What are some of your guys' thoughts on the Wonder Woman game getting canceled, and which hero, other than Batman, deserves a game? But okay, bringing it now to the movie news side of things, we got a small little teaser trailer for an upcoming Netflix horror movie I'm really looking forward to, Fear Street Prom Queen. Some of you guys might have remembered the Fear Street trilogy that came out just a few years ago. Well, this is the next movie, not really connected to that trilogy, but based off one of the Fear Street books about a slasher who is going after the prom queen candidates. This little teaser trailer was a little bit nice because it opens up with R.L. Stine talking about killing some teenagers.
Most people would say that killing teenagers is not a good thing, but here I am, and here you are for another chapter of Fear Street.
And if you've grown up with R.L. Stine, you're familiar with this face throwing you little cheesy family-friendly horror in the form of Goosebumps. And now it's kind of nice that now that we've grown up and we crave something a little more mature, he is delivering that with his Fear Street series. And I'm hoping this movie ends up being a lot of fun. There's been other photos that Netflix has released a couple months ago that give you a look of the costume of the slasher. It looks like they're in this bright red raincoat, and I'm like, yes, baby. You know my pet peeve with slashers nowadays. They all either wear black hoodies and a random mask, going in a red raincoat. You have my money, Netflix. I'll make a better judgment on the movie once we get an actual trailer of the footage. But so far, really excited for Fear Street Prom Queen. How are you guys feeling about it? Moving on to a first look that got revealed this week that probably had your daddy up and down jumping, and you need to tell Harold not to jump. Your knees ain't what they used to be, Harold. How many of y'all got a dad named Harold? There's got to be at least 10 of y'all. But we got our first official look to the He-Man movie, also known as the Masters of the Universe film, showing off Nicholas Gladstein's figure as He-Man. And look, He-Man was a cartoon I unfortunately didn't grow up with, but I know my dad and uncles loved this show. It was very popular, and it's kind of nice that they're finally getting this movie made after decades of trying to get it started, and then for one reason or another, it just gets canceled. I think this actor's physique is definitely on point. He seems like the muscular He-Man you want. The sword looks very well crafted. I'm even a little surprised they went with a very accurate costume for He-Man, and they didn't like MCU-ify it or Hollywood it up, just because maybe this in live action form would look a little odd. But they're going with it, and I'm happy with it. The only thing concerning me about this movie are Jared Leto as Skeletor, and some of these first set photos that basically reveal to us that the movie doesn't start with us already in Eternia, the fantasy world where these characters reside. Instead, it's going to be one of those movies where it's our real world that then seeps into this fantasy world, where you can see the actor playing He-Man in a pink shirt that I think is an obvious Easter egg to a pink outfit he wears in the cartoon, getting arrested by some cops while he's holding his sword. I just don't know why we got to do that. So many of these properties get that treatment of, what if they came to our world? And I feel like there's only a handful of those that actually turned out well. But heck, we'll see how it goes. I know the next thing your daddy's probably looking forward to is Thundercats, and I do hope that gets made. And if this does well, it probably will happen. Let me know about your thoughts with the live action He-Man movie. Something else that we've talked about for a long time, and it felt like it was never going to happen, this live action mature take on Barney the dinosaur. Some of you guys might have remembered this was a story that came up that Daniel Kaluuya was working on a live action Barney movie, and then for some reason it just went silent and we never heard about it. And there was a lot of Barney fans that would actually DM me on the regular going, Chris, what is going on with Barney? And I'd have to hit him with, exactly like that. Well, my 7 Barney fans, today you got your update. Ayo Adibri has been tasked to write and is in talks to star in the Barney live action movie from A24, Mattel, and Daniel Kaluuya. Some kind of sad news if you're excited with Daniel Kaluuya's involvement. He seems to only be producing this Barney movie and will not actually star in the film. And while I think Ayo is a great addition because she's been an up-and-coming star that I've enjoyed her in several different projects, it is also interesting that she isn't even sure if she'll star in the movie, but she is gonna write the film. I'm just still so curious what an A24 Barney movie ends up looking like, because although it's been described to be a little bit more adult and mature, it's still Barney, and we're not gonna have something really crazy. I still assume this will be pretty family friendly, but I'm glad the movie isn't dead and is still happening. For my Barney fans, you happy with this? Moving on to a sequel that I don't know if I'm excited about, or maybe we should just put to rest. Marlon Wayans was doing the rounds in some interviews, and he said after he's done making Scary Movie 6, super excited for that by the way, he is gonna move on to try and make White Chicks 2. I love White Chicks. I think that movie is hilarious, and it's for sure one of those films that is of its time where it'd be really hard to make today. And when Marlon Wayans does talk about making this movie, that's kind of the thing that fuels him, is trying to push that boundary again and make you laugh at things that maybe isn't as socially acceptable as it used to. But my excitement for whether I would actually want this movie to happen is all gonna depend on Scary Movie 6, because while I am happy the Wayans brothers are back and that they're going to be doing that, sometimes with age, a comedian, their humor falls off a little bit and you end up saying things like, I kind of found their older stuff funny. And it's been time and time again of these long-awaited movies and sequels that are like decades apart from each other that just end up being so disappointing and sometimes even depressing to watch, because it's like, everybody just got old. And this isn't that funny. But at the end of it, hey, I'd still like to see you take a crack at it and what you could possibly come up with and how the world today would take that movie. I feel like this would end up being more something that ends up going like straight to Netflix. Be awesome if it got a theatrical release, but with streaming, that feels like kind of the home for it now. But we'll wait and see. If Scary Movie 6 is pretty dang good, then I'ma really want this movie. Are you someone that is wanting White Chicks 2? All right, moving on to the Marvel side of things. Last night, there was a New York premiere where audiences got to see the first 2 episodes of Daredevil Born Again, and I've been really curious to what people are going to think and it is all extremely positive. Reading to you just a couple of reactions we have here. Daredevil Born Again is gritty, ruthless, and unforgivingly bloody. Fans of the original series are in for a treat. Echoing the first season's intensity and rage, Cox and D'Onofrio still steal the show. 2 episodes in, and all I can say is the man without fear is back. Another reaction here says, Daredevil Born Again is a powerful reintroduction to Marvel's most complex and scourged character. Cox and D'Onofrio take their rightful place in the MCU and set the stage for the darkest and most brutal chapter yet. I've seen the first 2 episodes and very optimistic for the rest. One more reaction here goes, we just finished watching Daredevil Born Again and we are happy to report that Marvel Television is back. The first 2 episodes set a new and incredibly high bar for fight choreography and action sequences in the MCU that stay true to the gritty and raw vibes from the original. And it honestly just goes on from there. I've seen a lot of people repeat the sentiment that the first episode is one of the best pilots that Marvel has put out for any of their TV shows. Funny enough, I even saw one reaction that says it actually feels like a TV show, which honestly is something I can totally understand what they mean by, because sometimes you watch these Disney Plus shows and they don't feel like a TV show. They feel like a movie that was cut up into 6 parts. I'm loving hearing about the maturity, the brutalness, how violent it is, and that although it doesn't feel exactly like the Netflix show, it does pave its own way for something very exciting. So this is really good to hear, man, because if they messed up Daredevil, that would have been the last straw for me. Disney plus Marvel would have been dead to me. That's been one of the most disappointing aspects of New Day Marvel, even though I still love the movies and the MCU as a whole. When it comes time for a new Disney Plus show, I just kind of end up rolling my eyes. But hearing Daredevil knocks it out of the park, that's great. But then again, it is only the first 2 episodes. I did see someone bring up a really great point that when you saw the first 2 episodes of Secret Invasion, you thought you were on track for probably a really great show, and Secret Invasion ended in a disaster. And that always does seem to be a problem with Marvel. They don't always nail the landing or the finale. Let's hope they can do that with Daredevil Born Again. But actually, jumping off that point, something that got announced along with these reactions is of a solo project with Jon Bernthal as the Punisher, and I am so happy. It got revealed here that Jon Bernthal will be co-writing the Punisher special for Marvel Studios. Ronaldo Marcus Green, who did Will Smith's King Richards, is set to direct, described as a shotgun blast of a story, but also has all the pathos and emotion. Look, I would have honestly have rather had Punisher get his own series, but I'm not going to complain about a special presentation. Those have kind of been going silent lately in the MCU, and my stance on them are, even though I love these special presentations like Werewolf by Night that Marvel did, I'm just like, let's just add on 30 minutes and make straight to Disney Plus movies. What's wrong with that, honestly? Punisher would also be a perfect character for that, because I can understand Disney's hesitation with putting an R-rated, super violent adult character like the Punisher in theaters to sell to audiences with the Marvel tag. You put that on your streaming service as an available movie to watch, yeah, I'm gonna be watching that all day. But I freaking love the Punisher. He's one of my favorite Marvel characters of all time. He was one of those characters when I first got into reading comic books, I ended up buying most of his runs. A lot of the Garth Ennis stuff, his Max series, even his solo novels like Punisher Born, I still own all that stuff. Honestly, my only real fear for this is I really don't want them to adapt the Punisher War Machine story. I'm not a big fan of that story. That's where Punisher takes the War Machine armor for himself and uses it to fight it. That doesn't feel like the Punisher to me. Is it badass and cool looking? Hell freaking yeah, but that's not what I want. But either way, I mean, I'm happy and I'm excited for that. And hopefully if that does well, it does lead into a solo show for him. I'm going to honestly count this presentation as a mini movie that Frank Castle gets, and I'm just happy with that. How are you guys feeling about the Daredevil Born Again reactions and Punisher getting his own special presentation show? Bringing us now to the Russo brothers finally letting out small little details about what we can expect from Avengers Doomsday. During an event for one of their upcoming films, they of course were asked about Avengers Doomsday, and they did let us know that pretty soon they're going to be flying to London to start making the movies, where they are going to be basically made back to back.
Not in LA It's all in London. We're shooting them fairly back to back.
And this is kind of what he described Avengers Doomsday to be. I think these movies are going to be a surprise to people. We found a way into the story that's very exciting to us, but very radical, and I think it's going to challenge audiences. And although that's kind of vague and you could really interpret it how you like, I am very excited by that, because while the Russo brothers have made kind of okay movies outside of the MCU, you can't deny the movies they've made in the MCU, they are some of the best. And so I think it's so comforting to have them back, and that hopefully they nail it down when Doomsday comes, because although I'm still so lost on where exactly we are supposed to be entering this movie, because none of the past projects have really put us on a clear path, and we know they've had to change their direction, to know that they are that solid on a story and an idea that maybe challenges the audience, let's go. The only other thing he said when he was asked about which characters could appear is he said,
Could we see some X-Men characters make an appearance?
Who knows? I don't know. I don't know who we're going to see. I still don't know.
Tickles your fancy.
Anybody in the Marvel bag could show up in this movie.
and that's also kind of what I'm excited about, is who exactly is showing up in Doomsday, because I feel like everyone's showing up in Secret Wars, but in Doomsday, who's gonna be there? I don't know. I toss it off to you guys. What do you make of these comments from the Russo brothers? Anyways, guys, that is all the movie news we currently have going on right now. I want to thanks for taking time out of your day to watch me talk some movie news. Don't be forgetting to hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already. Have a wonderful day, and take care.